Hello, my stamping friends. This is Renee Novak at blessedbycards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm here today to share with you a few stamping hacks. So, my first hack for today is stamping with either thin line or more solid type stamps. And so, what we want to do, if you have a thinner stamp, either a outline stamp or a delicate greeting, is you want to tap lightly. So go lightly, a little bit of tapping, and then you want to kind of just stamp with a medium pressure, not real hard. And then you get that nice outline stamping. However, if it's a thicker stamp, you want to really kind of pounce it down in there, and you want to sauce it up really good. And if it's a photo palmer stamp, you want to bring in your Stampin' Pierce mat. And we sell these. I sell these in my online store. They're $5. And you can hop on over to my blog at blessedbycards.com and get that stamp right there, or get this piercing mat. And what it does is it kind of pushes back a little bit on the stamp, and you want to press it firmly, and you want to hold your more dark and full stamps. So light pressure with a light tap, and a light pressure when you stamp on your thin line, and a heavier hand on your thicker. The piercing mat for the photo palmer is amazing. So check that out the next time. Okay, now my second hack is if you have a large stamp. And by large, I mean either a background stamp or a large stamp that is somewhat bigger than your stamp pad. So what I do is I reverse my order. Instead of stamping this way and getting it sauced up, I take the ink to the stamp. And this works great for backgrounds because they're obviously bigger than your stamping pad, but you can get an even pressure on a very large stamp. And then all you have to do is just get that straight down and straight back up. Okay, and you want a firm pressure, and you want to hold it a little bit longer for those larger stamps. Okay, so that is just a super simple. If it's bigger than your pad, or if it's just cumbersome, try doing the ink pad to the stamp instead of the other way. Okay, so my third hack will be don't rock. Okay, so if you have grab my paper here. Sorry, if you have just a piece of paper or cardstock or whatever for your doings, you want to make sure that you don't rock your stamp, okay? And so what happens if you have a little bit of that rubber around, especially the red rubber stamps, is it will get all over when you pounce it in there. Sometimes see how it's all on there, and if you rock it at all, you're going to get some marks. Well, I'm using the Stampin' Pierce mat, which helps a lot, but if you rock, you're going to get these images. Okay, so, and some stamps are just like that. This particular set is Grow with Love, and I noticed that they just are like that. They have a little bit of extra red rubber around, and I don't know if that's just the way they were produced or if that's the way they had to be, but if you can see, there's a thin amount here and then a bunch over here. So when that happens, and that's my fourth hack, when that happens, I like to take my paper snips and do a little surgery on my stamps. It's not real hard, but what I do is I go in and I cut around that stamp. And so what I mean is you just kind of come in here. You can pull it up a little bit if you want, but your snips will fit in there. And you can also heat this just a tiny bit with the heating tool, and it will come apart. But you want to be very careful that you don't get your whole stamp to come apart. So then you just kind of come in here and with those snips and you just snip down into those areas where you want to dig out that excess, and then you just pull it off. That way it leaves your this front of the stamp the same, so you can see your image and it's not wonky. But yet the back are going to take off a lot of that's going to give you that excess stamping. So feel free to do a little surgery on your stamps. It's really not going to hurt them. I do, however, like to leave, like I said, the backing. I don't really cut through that foam part. I just cut through the red rubber. Okay, so that is hack number 4. And then my last hack is all about adding just a tiny bit of color to an image. In this case, it's going to be adding it to a greeting. So I have my happy birthday, and this is from With You in Mind. And I think I'll go this way on my paper. And I am going to stamp that up in a blueberry bushel, and because it's a bigger stamp, I'm going the opposite way. So that's our second hack, and I'm using that here. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to just stamp that straight down and straight back up, and that's what you want to do to avoid any rocking, is just straight down and straight back up. And then if you want to add a little color, just grab what other color you want. This is Pool Party, and I'm just going to snag some color on my blending brush, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of color right over my stamped image. You can add as much or as little as you want. In this case, I'm adding quite a bit because this is Pool Party and it's kind of light. But as you can see, it's starting to show up, and if you did a yellow, I'm sure it would show up even brighter. But this is just one fun way that you can just very quickly add a little bit of not only color, but added dimension to your card. And then after you're all done and you're satisfied with the color that you want, then you just mount it up on your card. You can back it with some Blueberry Bliss and add it to your card base. So that is hack number 5. So those are my 5 hacks for making stamping easier, crafting more fun, whatever you want to call that. I just like to share with you a few tips and tricks every now and again. So that's all I have for my weekly Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, be blessed.